Okay, this is still May 10th, 2025. Getting back to my statement of what happened. I had left off at, we had went and got our bed from storage. And Dave is so mad. There's been 4 times in my life. I am not dead. And, um, he acts like he can't pick up a 1 by 3 by 5 bed rail, which weighs nothing. I'm like, come on now. I can pick that up. He picks it up and he whacks me in the face. Breaks several teeth. I have a lot of dental work. I'm spewing blood and teeth. And I'm like, why? You'll learn not to smart off to me. He runs off and he jumps in my car and he takes off. The neighbor about 4 or 5 houses down on John Thomas Road outside Ravenna said he showed up at a store in Ravenna, screamed out he didn't want his wife anymore. Asked everybody in that store in Ravenna to help get rid of me, and they all agreed to help. And it was the people in the store of Ravenna doing it to me before. The Florida drug cartel was there at least 6 months before the case. Okay? But they picked up this other group. By the 6th day, we're at the storage unit. We're getting more stuff out of storage. We get home and our door's knocked into the wall. And he said, don't report it. Another realtor's passing out keys. They don't pass out keys. They leave them in a lockbox, and we took them out of the lockbox the first day. He didn't report it, and that's when they're supposed to put up their illegal button cameras. By the second week, I had went out to mow the lawn. God knows why. I was probably going to do it before they dogged me. And I'm collapsing in the front yard, and my heart's racing through my neck. And I keep having to go sit back down. It's like, what is wrong with me? I used to mow the lawn at Lennox like it was nothing. A neighbor comes running over. I'm a nurse. Can I help you? I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can mow your lawn for you. I said, I don't have money to pay you. Neighbors don't pay each other. He keeps arguing with me, and I finally let him mow the lawn. Okay. Everybody knew it happened. I worked all summer long on that house. We had put up only 3 outside security cameras. We had nothing in the house. Okay. We had one to the front porch, back porch, side yard. Okay. We had I had paid Josh to do the tile work for the new wood burner that was going to be put in. Energy efficient. He even sold my things to help pay for it, and then got another big bonus. Had to come up with $5,000 again. The back area was beautiful. You walk into the woods and it opened up, and the trees were so large they canopied around themselves, and the light would filter through. It was beautiful. We talked about putting a picnic table back there, and there was broken bottles and cans, and it took me several weeks to clean it all up. And I had grandkids, 10-year-old grandchildren. Didn't want them to get hurt, and I had to haul all that stuff to the front. We had a septic tank put in, and he didn't want to pay the extra couple $100 for them to drop topsoil and grass seed. He's like, you're not working, you can do it. It took me several weeks to rake from the front to the back, smooth out everything, move all the, turned out rocks, and then plant grass seed several times. I planted all that grass seed. I built a flower bed around the new septic tank, and I worked on that place like crazy. Even set up his garage. I would be fine, come in, wash my hands, make something to eat and to drink. I would go in and use the bathroom, come back out, and take a drink. Now, we had to bring in bottled water to cook and to drink, but the water was like orange. We had it tested. It had high levels of iron in it. Okay. You have to wash your hands after you use the bathroom and take a fast shower. I'd wash my hands and come out and take a drink out of the 2-liter Diet Coke in the room and go dizzy and black. Wake up hours later with bruises, throwing up, uh, heart racing, almost passing out. Where did I bang my arm or leg? And they were orange, lemon, grapefruit sized bruises. My person area got so swollen, it was swelled open and down, and I would scream when I would pee. Wake up with injection marks, look like injection marks, and more bruises. I was covered in them. Hand marks embedded in my arm that were bigger than mine and around my neck. And I went to the doctor. What on earth is wrong with me? Did you fall? No. Maybe you're coming anemic. Gave me iron pills and muscle relaxer stuff for headaches, throwing up, severe personal infection pills and creams. Here I'm being drugged, beaten, raped in my own home. Kept happening and happening. And I kept blaming the dirty well water I was showering in. It was the only thing new to me. Never had my neighbors in my home. Never had anybody but family and repair guys and installation guys. Never seen anybody. And to find out a cartel was doing this to me, they were human trafficking me out of that house under drugs. Okay? They were fake sodium pentothal reports. Drug confessions. I found out they did photoshopping of washing myself in the shower in the other room to make me look weird and crazy. Drugged me up and told me to say horrible stuff. They have laughed in my face for years how they framed me, and even admitted to framing me. Okay? And I never seen or talked to anyone. And it kept happening. I lost 18 pounds before I called the FBI. Never seen or talked to anyone. And to find out predators were preying on me. How sick and disgusting is this? When I told the doctor I was talking to him, I said I was seen for the summer of 18 for all that. Yes. I said I found out my ex-husband was having drug dealers drug me up and tell me to say stuff, and they photoshopped washing in the other room, and they had beat and raped me, and that's what was causing all that. She's like, is that what was causing all that? He's a vile, sick animal. You know, I talked to another nurse about it. I said, why didn't somebody think of a rapist? They said, well, we know rapists do this, but we try not to leak there. We want to think it's the well water. We want to think it's a virus. But we know rapists do this. You know, society has changed so much. And drug cartels, human traffickers. My thing as a victim, leap. You can always dial it back once you find out they're not being harmed. Because a cartel was human trafficking me out of that house under drugs. Okay? August 8 of 18, I had a light in the security system. Midnight, I did a 911 call. And the officers came out. They were silly. They said it looked like an alien orb, angry spirit told me by a dog and let a dog handle it. They didn't want bothered. If you look at the light in the security system in the dark, it's the guy with the flashlight. It was probably one of those idiots coming over to rape me, and I caught him. Okay? September 3rd to 6th, Dave had taken off. Our anniversary September 6th. And he everything was done but the flower beds. He was screaming how they had to be done. It was 80 degrees. He didn't even want to go to church. And I had worked so hard all summer long on that house. And I'm like, just drop the mulch. It's hot. I said, I hate this place. All I do is work on it. He's like, well, I'd rather have Katie than you. Well, Katie dates Tim for 20 years. We all know that. And I'm like, but whoa, you want another woman? I'll take my things and leave. You're not allowed to leave. Jack and I had this plan since March. I said, you have something planned. I'll just give up everything. Jack said you wouldn't give up everything willingly, and we have to do it this way. Well, he's crazy. I went out and found a job. I have a couple years in loan processing and over a year in retail banking. Loan companies love my resume. And so I went out and I got a job at Advanced America as an assistant manager. Annie didn't know what store to put me in, so she sent me up to Darrow Road in Twinsburg. On the way up there, she sent me to Streetsboro, so I had to put it in my GPS, go have my interview. And I get home, I'm at the end of the driveway, and I'm talking to my mom, and it's raining. She's like, we were talking, and the phone started beeping, and it was Dave. And Dave's like, well, why won't you go in the house? Now, the cameras only went to the side yard, front porch, back porch. We didn't have anything to the end of the driveway. It had nothing to trace me on my phone. I'm like, Dave, are you home? He said, no, I'm at work. I said, Dave, that's not funny. And there's no one around me. I lived in a giant woods, and there's no one around me. Dave, that's not funny. Why wouldn't you think I'm somewhere else? I know you're at the end of the driveway. Why won't you go in the house? What's wrong, Karen? And I'm like, Dave, that's not funny. Annie beeps in, what's your problem? I said, what do you mean, what's my problem? You were mean, da-da-da-da. I said, what are you talking about? You sent me to the other store. She starts screaming crazy crap at me, and I hang up on her. I call my mom back. She's said, Karen, he's up to something. I know he is. So, next morning, I didn't say anything. I got dressed real nice, and I went up to Twinsburg. I want to meet the person that cost me that job. I walk in, Annie's there with the assistant manager, Dan. And she's like, well, you know, Karen, he said, I've never met this woman before in my life. And she said, what you said? I know what I said, and it wasn't her. I said, I've never been here before. You sent me to the other store, remember? And she said, but what you said? He said, I know what I said, but it wasn't her. I said, I've never been here before. And I looked at him, I said, by the way, I'm Karen. It's nice to meet you. I looked at her, I said, I've never been here before. He said it wasn't her. She tried to give me my job back, but it was ruined. That was September 18 of 18. Okay, I called Terry, and she still doesn't know I know, because I needed her to witness about the attempted kidnapping. So I've never told her I knew. We were talking on the phone. She's watching this lady's kid for $10 an hour. Okay. And she's cleaning up, and she has me on speaker on the counter. Well, I hear knocking, and she's like, Karen, she's here. I'll let you go. Okay. I hear her walk. I almost hung up, and I thought, I wonder if it's the lady that cost me my job. I'll listen for a minute. So I hear her walk over to the door. She opens the door. Guess who was on the phone with? You're kidding. I almost tricked her into coming down to prayer where those two guys would show up and take care of her. You know they pay people to know where she's at. I could have used the money. And if she would have showed up at church, it's not like anybody in the church would ever help her. I actually told her I'd step in for prayer for her, as if I couldn't believe it came out of my own mouth. This is a woman that I've paid for tires, rotors, had Dave fix her car for free, cleaned her apartment for free, bought her food for years. Okay? And I'm holding my mouth, and tears are running down my face. And she said, well, this is about as bad as Kaylee. She used another minister because Keith charged too much money. And she said, well, you know who's in the meeting to hire those two men to kill her? It was Keith Bishop, Strange, and Ron. And they took up $25,000 to have her murdered because Ron wants her dead because she got while the youngest kid died in a gas, and I hung up. Okay. I had known Sarah at Zales for years. Her older manager, older white lady with white hair, and then there was a girl with dark hair and dark eyes that had went to work at Ashcroft and opened like 16. And they came up to me before the case started and told me, Katie is telling everyone in the mall it's her church trying to have you killed. She can't say that. She's telling everybody that it's them. And they have men to take care of you. And it's them trying to have you killed. She can't tell people it's her church trying to have you killed. You need to call the police or a detective. Told them stay out of it. Okay? September 21st at 3 o'clock in the morning, Dave grabs me, rubs my head, kept going like this and rubbing his beard in the side of my face, squeezing me and pushing my head into the bed till I can't hardly get air. I love you, but I love her more. I'm so sorry, Karen. You have to die for her. I hired a man to slit your throat, stab you in the heart. You'll bleed out, Karen. But you have to die for us to get everything. And if you try to run, I got a man to put a bullet in you. And for 30 minutes, I lay there in the cold, dark night looking at the clock from 3 to 3:30 of him squeezing me, kissing me, pushing my face into the bed till I can't hardly get air, of how I'm to die for this girl. And if I try to run, he's got a man to put a bullet in me. He rolled over and got up and went to work, and I just laid there in fear. Morning came, I called John. I said, what on earth is going on? He said, I don't know, Mom. I would have punched him. I said I was afraid if I moved, he would put my face into the bed, and I died then. Okay. September 21st, 18, I'm at Giant Eagle. I'm walking around. I'd already lost 18 pounds. I had bruises all over me. And Dave calls me, and I'm walking around the store thinking, how dumb am I? It's been them the whole time. Now I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and I know nobody. And he calls me, where are you at? I'm buying something for dinner. I got a phone call to make. Don't go. Please don't go. Try to call him back, and he won't answer his phone. I look up, they're giving him flu shots, and I thought, I gotta get a flu shot. Hard telling where I'll end up at. It's not even safe for me to be here. I got a flu shot, and I sat down on the bench, and I'm like, just breathe. Just breathe. Okay? And I hear a voice. I can't believe she's here. It's like, oh my God, it sounds like the guy. I got her, and she got away. Where is he? And I'm scanning. I don't see him. I stand up. I turn my card. He comes up behind me. I'd stab you right here now if it wasn't for that security guard. I had to catch my breath. I almost passed out. I was already dizzy. And the lady's like, are you going to stab her and get it over with? I won't make it out for that security guard. All right. And I turned my cart in the bank and got in front of someone. I want to open an account. Pizza Hut lady comes up. I get paid to watch her. Mail banker's like, stay out of it. She's like, no, I get paid to watch her. He said, no, lady, you stay out of this. It won't be worth it in the end. She said, no, I get paid to watch her. And she's looking right at me. He's screaming at her. And he screamed at her so bad she walked off. Okay. Dave called me and I instantly put him on hold. And the tall white guy with black hair walks off. See the back of him when he walks off. And they got my account open real quick. I look up. There's a group of people leaving. I get in the middle of them, get in my car. I went and drove down to Walmart 62, got out to get gas. An African-American lady spit in my face. Her and her white boyfriend were harassing me. Now, it's either that day or around that day is when the what a shame guy shows up. I go into Walmart, a white man with black hair, black eyes, no light him, so they had to have contacts and an eagle tattoo, kept saying what a shame and looking at me like a dead animal. I got away from that freak. But that night when Dave got home, he said, Karen, come to the end of the driveway. My girlfriend's rich and powerful. Her family owns the police. You will not be able to withstand. I told him it's not a communist country. Nobody owns the police. I had been talking to my family, and my sister kept telling me, call the FBI, Karen. They'll take care of Dave in the churches. They can't have people threaten you or try to harm you. You call the FBI, Karen. You hear me? They'll take care of Dave and those church people. They can't do this. And she's the whole reason I called them. And everybody knew they were threatening my life and leaving threats on them. And they knew all this happened with the different attempts. I had to take a couple days and I had to pray, and then I had to wait till I was alone. Okay? And it was the hardest emotional decision. I had to really pour my heart out to God. I actually love that jerk. And realizing it had been him and his church people trying to kill me, I could not forgive him, because if I forgave him for any part of this, I would die, and it's by the grace of God am I alive, and if I don't pick up that phone, I will die. And I called the FBI hotline. It was a few days later. We'll have an agent call you back. Okay. The next morning I hear the phone ringing, and they had me so drugged up I couldn't wake up all the way. I had rivers of tears running down my face. I kept saying I can't. Let it go to voicemail. Later on I woke up, I couldn't even stand up straight. They had me so drugged up I curled up trying to get to the bathroom, trying to get to the refrigerator, bent over, and my stomach was just killing me. Got back in bed, listened to voicemail. This is Agent da-da-da, call me back, I can't. Fell back to sleep. The second day, I'm not much better. The third day, I made myself get up. Sitting on the front porch, holding my head, what's wrong with me? I feel drunk and I don't drink. It's a sign of a date rape drug wearing off. I Googled it. And once I got enough air in my face, I thought of Sarah. I had give her information to the hotline. I call and ask her if she'll witness for me, of course. It's getting darker and scarier the way she talks about it. Went out and bought a card, put that agent's number in it. Made an excuse to go to the mall before we went to church. Her manager put it in her locker. We went up to Apostolic Church of Barberton, and Agent John is up there telling on me. Paul Paymer's yelling at Dave, my God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. How dare you bring the FBI up here with threats on her life? I walk off, women come up, he knows she's being drugged, being raped, and he said he didn't care. I'm covered in bruises, lost 18 pounds, severely infected. My stomach is sinking. My heart's sinking in my stomach. Because I thought it was the well water giving me cancer. You don't remember with those drugs. And I go in and I sit down and they follow me. He knows she's being drugged, beaten, raped, and he said he didn't care. If she was going to be faking she was sick and faking she got well, strangers lie to cover up Tim and Katie. And he didn't care what they did to her. And if she was going to be mean to women, he didn't care what they did to her, and he was going to turn her back over to him. Can you imagine an agent saying that? They said it was an agent that returned my phone call, telling on me to that church. It's documented by the police. He told on me before he talked to me. Okay? Dave comes in, let's go. We get out in the truck. He's like, you called the FBI on me? I ought to kill you myself. And I said, what did you expect with all these people threatening my life and these attempts? And he goes for a loaded gun. I put my hand on the console. He goes to punch me, and he beat me all the way home. Almost jumped out on the highway. I ran from him. When I got home, the next morning, I called that agent back. Rivers of tears. I'm scared out of my mind. Everybody already knows. I call him and I tell him someone told on me, you liar. I tell him about what happened at Giant Eagle where that guy threatened to knife me. Was there a lie? He calls me a liar. Then he says, is there a camera above the bench? I don't know. I try to stay alive that day. I look for no damn camera. He said, you liar. He said, you either say you're lying or arrest you. And I said, what? He said, was there a camera above that bench or not? I said, well, he tried to kidnap me before. And before I can say Terry Coberly seen him, he's like, oh, come on now. He said, even if a church person seen him, they would never verify. I've met with that family in my office that lost their kid in a traffic accident. The one that her father killed her kid by speeding, running through a stop sign into a semi. Killed them both. The one her father killed her kid, I had nothing to do with. They had nothing to do with Strange making up that baby lie 6 months later. Okay? And I met with all those church people, and I know they're trying to kill you. And he said, Strange's lie. Conspiracy to commit murder is a federal crime. Why didn't he arrest him? That's a good question. Why didn't he arrest him? He had him, so why didn't he arrest him? And I said, I really was sick before. You liar. He said, "You either say you're lying or I'll arrest you." I'm like, "What?" He said, "I'll put you in jail. I'll come up there and arrest you. You hear me?" And it's like, fine, whatever. He's a serial killer for the Florida drug cartel. He had already taken Lori from my other work. Her family member had people laugh in her face that he tied her up and cut her up in pieces, and that's how they killed her. Took Marlisa's niece on Christmas Day of 18. Still think you're funny? Um, he said, now I want you to think, to say, I want you to say, you were faking you were sick. Well, I told you what happened. That's ridiculous. I almost died from medical malpractice after a bunch of surgeries. And I said, I really was sick before. You liar. I met with that family in my office and all those church people. And I know they're trying to kill you because you were faking you were sick and faking you got well while that family was grieving. And I said, I really was sick. He's like, you liar. He said, you need to realize what you've done, and I don't blame him for trying to kill you. He actually says that. Like an investigator said, I almost fell out of my chair. He actually talks to her like that. I said, I really was sick. You say it or I'll leave you there, but they'll try to kill me. So, they've tried to kill me. So say it or I'll leave you there. It's like, fine, just don't let them kill me. Boy, John, when they told you to go up to that church and act dumb, like these people, you really put on a good act. He said, why would the FBI help a person like you? Well, they're going to try to kill me. So, they've tried to kill me. So, give me a real reason. And before I can say anything else, he said, well, the other agent said we could always use Pete's tape of weird with yourself. The shower scene in the other room. A washing done by the drug cartel. Dave hired Pete on his own. I found out later. I didn't even know who he is. I'm not even 100% who he is now. And I said, and he's talking about somebody, I don't even know who they are. I said, what are you talking about? He says something else, and it's one of the black and blue marks. I said, what are you talking about? He's laughing at me. Stop. She don't know. I bet you're going to say something about you don't know who this doctor is. I said, I don't even know who he is. And she said, he starts laughing. She says, she don't know who he is. Well, they already confessed now. And they confessed in 18. He works for the Florida drug cartel. He's one of the Florida drug cartel doctors. Okay? He's not one of mine. They lied. They lied. It's the case of the dumb people that lied. Well, I found out during the case it was Dave's girlfriend from before me that was using my insurance. My whole marriage was a scam. He married me to get a job at my dad's factory, and she wanted a free insurance to use, and he could give her extra money. He scammed me the whole time. Okay, it was his girlfriend that was using my insurance, ran up all those medical bills, because back then you didn't have to show ID for surgeries, procedures, starting new doctors, nothing. And I thought maybe it was one of hers. No, it's just a scam. And I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, I don't even know who that is. He's laughing. She don't know who it is. Well, it's not my doctor. That's why. And he said, give me a real reason. I told him about my brother-in-law, Craig, that died working for the government. And he said, first of all, have you talked to any law enforcement about threats on your life? Well, I told him about the two silly cops that came out on August 8 of 18, the light in the security system, looked like an alien orb, angry spirit, told me to buy a dog and let a dog handle it. They didn't want bothered. He said, you're kidding, right? And I said, no, they didn't want bothered. And I said, matter of fact, I've never even had my neighbors in my home. I've only had family and repair guys. I don't know what you're talking about. He said, do you know if Dave has a girlfriend? I said, well, I think he's cheating, but I've never caught him. He starts laughing. The other guy says she never caught him. Well, Dave verified that December 9th, 18. Never caught him with anyone. I don't know why that's funny. And he said, I could take you somewhere and leave you with no money. I have no money to start. He said, if you agree to get information on Dave and the churches, I can open an informant program. It comes with $5,000 a month. I said, I can do that. He said, I'm opening an account today. Do you know when you can come down and pick the card up? I said, I don't know. Well, hell broke loose. And he said, you'll have a life of peace as an informant, nothing legally stated, dated against you again, and only for you would we ever do this for. We'll always put it back as if it never happened, and you can't be legally charged for anything again for working this case. And he said, you'll have that money to live on, admit to no wrongdoing, and I'll take care of everything in the end. Okay? And he said, but if you try to tell someone, the FBI won't help you, and I'll tell people you're crazy. He said, but if you need help and you can't get a hold of me, the chief of police of Canton is a really good man. He's one of my best friends, and he'll make sure that the Canton police always protect you, and you can trust him. I told my friend from the prosecutor's office, Walter. He laughed, I cried. Tears, chuckled. He said, first of all, that agent doesn't have enough authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. He's only a hired police officer. Due to the freedom of speech, it takes a judge and a jury trial. The police know they can't go along with it. He's only bullying you. I said, well, he's already confessed. He told on me. And he was seen by people telling on me. He said, he can't tell on you, but you can tell whoever you want. He can't say a word. He said, it's the freedom of speech. He said, he can't bully you into false statements. He cannot withhold your money. He cannot misdirect it. He can't make up rules that he don't even have authority to. There's guidelines. It's for risking your life to get him information. Karen, you don't realize you're in one of the many witness protection programs. And informants are different. You stay yourself. You feed them information. You can tell whoever you want. He said, you're also in an attempt and a threat of life case. These people actually try to kill you, and the Department of Justice would put the FBI in jail if they ever tried to drop you. He said, they can only put you in another witness protection program, and you will get the money for the rest of your life, for risking your life to get the government information, and they owe you. And he said, and that's the only thing they can do is put you in another witness protection program. You'll be in protected custody the rest of your life because these people tried to kill you. And you get the money for the rest of your life. And they cannot withhold it. They cannot misdirect it. He cannot make up his own rules. He was only bullying you. I talked to a criminal attorney and other police out of this area, and they said the same thing. He was only bullying you. Where April 19th, 25, the FBI showed up after Michelle had confessed on March 27th, 25, and then April 17th, 25 in Sheets and Hartville, that she was part of when they bashed in my head and they had tried to kill me or leave me incompetent, and she had told that to a federal agent, and she was yelling it out in Sheets on the 17th then. And that the reason I don't know who that doctor is, that they had lied, that he was one of mine, and he actually works for them. And that agent broke up with her once he got her to admit that she was part of bashing my head in on 12/21/18, and that they had tried to kill me or leave me incompetent, and it didn't work. I got the size of a ball peen hammer in the back of my head. I had migraines for 2 years. They said it should have killed me. And it's by the grace of God in my life. And that the reason I don't know who that doctor is, he's not one of mine. He works for them, and they just lied. She yelled it out in Sheets parking lot on April 17th, 25, and big government SUVs stopped, got her under police surveillance. And on the 19th, the FBI showed up at Hartville. Do you know how dumb these people are? She calls the FBI hotline for help. They immediately walk into an FBI office and confess they're illegally monitoring her. And trust me, nobody ever fell for the stunt of a dirty doctor taping you unaware before confessing her crimes, sitting on it till Dave wanted a divorce. And it sounded mechanical. We knew it was them and not you. And that weird with yourself, we knew it was photoshopped to showering and washing yourself in the shower, and they had photoshopped everything. But if they were going to be that dumb and come in our office and try this with us, we told Agent John to go tell on her at that church for calling the FBI a hotline before he talked to her, and to act as dumb as these people, so we can find out who's all involved. Now I like my money. I'm done playing with the dumb people. After the case started, a little old white man the first month showed up and tried to pull a fast one in front of the police and feds. I woke up with another bruise. Came up to me for every idle word you telling us. I'll turn it on you. Tried to leave Dave Ellis, your child molester. You know that bruise on your leg. I used sodium pentothal on you. No, I used a date rape drug. And then said, you said that you were wearing some nightgown, bent over and probably once they accidentally seen you, but you had a life of pain because of it. Life of pain. What a drama queen. And it threatened me if I leave Dave. I had Dave debunk it. In a legally booked house, I was dressed modestly, and they only seen the back of my knees. He made up the whole thing. They admitted they drugged me and told me to say all kinds of crazy stuff, and where he had bruises before, throwing up and infected. It was us. It wasn't the well water. We were drugged, beat, and raped you. We had drugged you and told you to say this. We photoshopped all our lies. We erased some guy named Chris out of the room. I never had a Chris in my house, but they talked about him around me. Okay. By January 19, they had photoshopped all their lies. They had admitted in 18 and 19 they were using the Florida drug cartel doctor, and where they were admitting the Florida drug cartel, they were taking people to Florida to run experiments, and they were having the doctor was having to evaluate people, how much they weigh, if they have bad habits, so they can run experiments. That he was running experimental drugs on me. And that's why I was losing so much weight. I lost 18 pounds before I called FBI, and another 70 in protective custody. I'm lucky to be alive. Good thing I was fat. I was almost shot in the head driving, had a slam, tuck, and swerve. Uh, I was drugged till I lost 70 pounds. I faced 6 stalkers. I stabbed in the neck, bashed in the back of the head, beat, raped, and left for dead 12/21/18, Christmas Eve of 2018. There's a shooting night. I had to hide not to get killed. Dave's caught with the shooters. They killed 2. I was human trafficked in 19 and then raped and tortured July to September 19. And it was the Florida human traffickers. The Judge Peters from Florida, they showed up at Faith Family Church, 3,000 people seen them. They admitted they were from Florida. They worked for Judge Peters. Michelle was with them in house. She was Judge Peters' daughter from Florida. She told people she was above the law because she was a retired judge's daughter. She could do whatever crime she wanted. The law couldn't stop her. She could have anybody drugged, being raped. She just had to ask the guys. They impersonated FBI agents, even the one that raped and tortured me. They impersonated him. They were at Faith Family Church. They were selling the login to the case there. March 1st to 15 and 19, they called Dave 6 to 10 at night while I'm sitting on the back porch, and they roll out. He's like, what's going on? It's a real life case of how to get away with murder. She'll realize it. In 18 and 19, they said some guy was running a social experiment here, that if they killed somebody in front of people, if society would go along with it. You all failed. The Kingsman from Texas showed up within the first few months, for we all work for the King from Texas. We are his men. Dave hired us. He's a drug lord. He's a fentanyl king if you look him up. U.S. military Iraqi translator, went into the dark web, malware, fentanyl king. He's Middle Eastern. That's where the ladies in hijabs and the Middle Eastern men. California drug dealers, Buffalo, New York, Michigan. Judge Peters from Florida, Henry Moffey, Gentleman's Club from Florida shows up. North and South Carolina drug dealers, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Kentucky drug dealers, Georgia human traffickers, and they were bragging who they worked for and what crimes they were doing under police surveillance with a court order. That agent left me there while they got all this information on all these people. If I go up into Akron, we all know Karen. They either call the case Karen around the house or Karen's will. We all know Karen's will is still open, and it's a part of the nationwide human trafficking scam. Even Michael Peterson on Farmers got a hold of me, was bragging how he was dealing with Trekasami smuggling oil into the U.S. And November, December 21, I kept telling him I didn't believe him, made him send me proof. He sent me a letter of allegation, large money transfers from Western Union, got when he was leaving, what airport, what time, where he was staying in Venezuela, when the tanker was coming back, and what state was was buying smuggled oil. His credit cards were shut down, and even though I know the police and the feds were taping, I reported it myself, and Trakasami was arrested last year. A lady investigator said they called down there, asked about Michael Peterson shipment, and they said it wasn't legit, and they look into it, and here he's stealing from his country. I got a world terrorist arrested. I like my informant money. Like they said, what an accomplishment. One of their informants led to a tip to the rest of Trakasami. You're welcome. The marshal showed up January 20th, 23 in Worcester, and my friend Maddie, his friend in the police department 3 hours away, knew of my case. And, he got a hold of U.S. Marshals. They come in and sit around me, and I thought when he said, I have a friend on my police department, they knew about your case, and all these men come in, and I thought you brought your police department. No, he brought the U.S. Marshals. Knew about the Texas group involved in your case. And then we start going through everything, and he starts drilling me till I'm stuttering in front of him. I walk outside, they follow me, where the U.S. Marshals will be taking care of him. And what's going on and on. And they left that night, and February 14, 23, they did an 800 people sweep. My case is bad guys on a platter to law enforcement. It's protected home custody with threat and attempt of life for an FBI informant with statements and a court order for protected custody. Like they said, the sheriffs and have been taping all this, and it can't be disputed. It's legal police surveillance. They don't even need her. See, the FBI needed that court order for them to be around me and for them to tape these people admitting stuff around me. My phone became bugged, my car being bugged, my homes, and an officer following me around, if not one. And where the people are so dumb, they thought the FBI wasn't interested. I have at least usually one agent around me or a marshal. They fooled the people that they thought they were fooling. They thought they left. I realized that in 18, I'm sitting in my legally bugged house. Dave's saying, you got all these men around you. He said, they want you. Well, I started laughing. I said, they don't want me. I thought, what part of my God, I had an FBI agent at my office. He's right there, and men show up. Why wouldn't you think they're cops? I'm thinking this. And he keeps saying it and saying it. I said, maybe they're locals. I'm thinking, why don't you think they're cops? And I look, and there's one light, the top part of it looks a little different. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, you think all these drug cartels here? I had to stop myself from laughing. He thought the FBI left. They never left. They fooled everyone. They fooled them. The sheriffs have been working my case. The marshals, the FBI, like a guy showed up in 2020 up at the Ravenna courthouse and dropped off a file. I'm here for carrying around the house. Dropped it off at Abigail Watkins, Portage County Prosecutor's Office. Okay? And last year I was in Alliance. There was a guy out there. We all know that we had one of the guys drop off a file with our number in it to get a hold of us if she needed anything. She don't realize who's all around her. Because like they said, there were so many terrorists involved in this, you wouldn't believe. The guy that lives in my old apartment keeps bragging how he fooled that agent. You need to arrest him. How he was in the office with that agent. When they went in and talked to that agent, where that church is sending out emails, asking people to show up and harm her. And other people, other religious groups and other people to harm her. And other people and other religious groups to show up and harass her so she has nothing. We were the first religious group there. Then he knew it was the Florida human traffickers. He knew that wasn't my doctor. He knew everything was photoshopped. He was part of the scam. He's probably one of my rapists. His religious group hurts people instead of calling the police. And how, when that agent asked her if she knew who that doctor was, she said she didn't know who he was. He knew she was lying. So he turned her back over to us. They tell everybody they have special permission from the FBI to do whatever they want to me, and nobody's to care. That's a lie. We can hurt her and nobody's to care or interfere. That's a lie. They didn't give you special permission to drug, beat, and rape me and crush my head in and try to kill me. You're a liar. You're going to say they gave you Tinkerbell permission to go blow up an airplane, rob a bank, steal a car, shoot up a school? I mean, seriously. They're going to give you special permission to be a terrorist and to drug, beat, and rape people in their home, human traffic them, sell child pornography, and my grandkids go on potty? I don't think so. You're a liar. Just like my daughter-in-law, they told her that they had special permission from the chief of police to break in people's homes, watch them unaware, and do things like that to them. No, they don't. They lied. It's a case of the dumb people that lied. You're a liar. You're a flat-out liar. Now, Agent John, I'd like my money. You left me in hell. It wasn't one of your agents that was being raped and tortured, being human trafficked, their skull crushed in, drugged till they lost 70 pounds. It was your little informant. It wasn't one of your agents almost getting shot in the head, driving, had a slam, tuck, and swerve. They didn't get beat with internal injuries. I did. I'm the one that lived the 007 movie. I'm the one that lived through this terrorist act. I did. And I like my money. I'm going to upload this.